Entonces, por eso le digo, entonces, cómo le puede hacer uno, pues, si son dos carriles de un lado y son dos carriles del otro?
So
¿A qué horas me puedo dar vuelta?
So that's what I said, how can I do it? Because there are 2 lanes in one direction and 2 lanes in the other direction. When during the day can I use that to turn left?
She has to wait till the left turning lane opens up. In other words, she cannot get into the center lane before the opening of the turning lane. What people are doing is they're traveling down that center lane all the way to the turning lane, which is an illegal maneuver.
Okay.
See if I can, before you start interpreting, if I can explain. So let's just say we have a 2-lane road, and then at the intersection, there's a turning lane, right? What most folks do is there's a solid yellow line or 2 solid yellow lines going down to differentiate the center median area from the turning lane. Well, you can't break that solid line until it opens up until the turning lane. And what people are doing is they're jumping into that center median area or gore and traveling all the way down there to the turning lane and then proceeding to turn. Because most of the time traffic is backed up in those 2 lanes that are going forward, through the intersection.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of waiting in that backed up traffic until it opens up for them to get into the turning lane, they jump into that center lane and travel down that center lane into the turning lane, and that's illegal.
Okay, le voy a explicar lo que dijo el fiscal. Generalmente lo que pasa es que la gente está utilizando esa línea, ese carril del medio que tiene rayas amarillas sólidas, y luego para empezar a hacer, para poder llegar a donde se encuentra el carril para voltear a la izquierda, porque a veces el carril se llena demasiado de tráfico, el pedazo que es para voltear a la izquierda, entonces la gente empieza a apilarse desde antes que le toque el carril de dar vuelta a la izquierda, y por lo tanto están utilizando la línea del carril del centro como una línea para esperar, para poder voltear a la izquierda, y no puede hacer eso, tiene que esperar, tiene que meterse cuando le indique que la línea amarilla no está sólida y que usted esté realmente en el carril que se ha creado para que gire a la izquierda. No puede apilarse desde antes para utilizar esa línea del centro. ¿Entendió?
Verás que en la área donde yo volteé, está para dar vuelta, la línea la amarilla sí es sólida, pero también tiene como pedacitos cortados.
Okay, the area where I was trying to turn left, there's areas in the central lane that there are solid yellow lines, and there are other areas in between that have intermittent yellow line.
Well, so she needs to know that she can't cross a solid line to get to an intermittent line. Okay. She has to wait till the road, the lines open up for her. It's clearly marked where you're supposed to enter. But in any event, having explained all that, what does she want to do? Because this other stuff is for a trial. Does she want to continue with the trial or not after we've given her this explanation?
Ok, que lo que usted tiene que entender es que no puede cruzar, no puede girar y ponerse a esperar para girar en una línea que esté sólida amarilla, sino las partes que se lo permite. De todas formas, esto es más que todo para una explicación y para una presentación en un juicio. ¿Usted qué quiere hacer? ¿Ir a juicio o cómo quiere resolver su caso?
No, ya no quiero ir a juicio yo. Ya esto es demasiada tortura. Ya esperé tanto, me mandan una corte y otra corte y otra corte, y eso es un cuento de nunca acabar.
I don't want to go to trial because they keep postponing my trial. They keep sending me to different hearings, one after another, and it's never going to end. And it's a torture.
So what is her plea to the charge?
Entonces, ¿cómo se declara el cargo?
Pues yo no estoy de acuerdo, pero si tengo que pagar el ticket, pues lo pago. Pero yo he visto que mucha gente así lo hace, hasta los mismos policías lo hacen.
I don't agree with that, but if I have to pay the ticket, I will pay the ticket. I've seen that many people do that, what I did. Also, police officers are doing the same thing that I did.
Well, let her understand that I need to know what her plea is. Is it going to be not guilty or guilty?
Necesito saber cuál es su declaración. ¿Va a ser culpable o no culpable?
Pues yo pienso que culpable porque yo entré a esa área.
Well, I think guilty because I entered in that center lane in that area.
Okay. Can we
Okay.
have her put her email into the chat? And Madam Clerk, what is the fine amount for that?
Ponga su correo electrónico.
65.
Ponga su correo electrónico en el chat, por favor. You want to tell her that, Mr. Mary Rose? 165?
Yes.
Ok, la multa por esta citación es 165. Si por favor puede poner su correo electrónico en el chat.
And can she pay that in 2 weeks? Or does she
Lo-
need-
¿Puede pagar esto a más tardar en 2 semanas o necesita más de 2 semanas para pagar la multa?
Habían dicho que era 45.
Me da un minutito, te voy poniendo la información del email.
Okay, she's putting the email first and then she's going to let me know what she's going to do.
Okay. I received the email address.
Ok, ya la recibimos.
¿Por qué 165 si yo cuando yo hablé y dijo que era 145?
Why is it 165? Because when I talked to them, they told me 145.
Madam Clerk?
Court costs were added.
165 includes the surcharges.
Porque es un recargo penal.
Includes the surcharges.
Porque es parte del recargo penal de un impuesto que se cobra.
Okay.
Ok.
All right, so she can go ahead and disengage. We're going to send her the information for her to make the payment. And as long as she makes it in 2 weeks, she'll be fine.
Ok, entonces le van a mandar la información para que usted haga los pagos. Los pagos se hacen en el Departamento de Policía o en el Tribunal Municipal. Mientras usted pague y mande de regreso los formularios que le están mandando por correo electrónico, todo está bien. O sea, que necesita que pague. Tiene 2 semanas, hasta 2 semanas para pagar.
Okay.
Ok, ya se puede retirar. Si entendió todo y no tiene más preguntas.
Okay. Gracias.
De nada, thank you.
All right, so can we go ahead and let Mr. or Miss, I don't know if it, Hugh Pham in for the Vietnamese interpreter? We can find out what they want to do.
Good morning, Mr. Pham.
Good morning.
Miss Pham. Okay, I remember her when we said the interpreter's name. Sir, interpreter, can you ask Miss Pham what she wants to do in reference to her charge? Does she want to proceed with the trial?
Chị Huế Phạm ơi, chị bị cái tội, chị có mặt ở đó ở đây không vậy?
Đây em đây là
Bây giờ.
dạ
Tòa hỏi luật sư của tòa hỏi là trước tòa là chị có nhận tội hay là chị không nhận tội?
dạ không em không có nhận tội anh.
It's not guilty.
Okay, tell her stand by and we're going to start her trial probably first so that we can get you off the line, okay?
Yeah. Rồi nếu mà không nhận tội chị chờ đó là chút xíu nữa là cảnh sát rồi quan tòa sẽ xử cái kê của chị nha.
Dạ em đang chờ tiếp anh.
Dạ chờ chút xíu nhưng cái kê của chị sẽ lên trước.
Dạ.
Okay, so she can place herself on mute and we can go put her back into the waiting room, Madam Clerk. And then can we tell if Bobby Artist has logged on?
Yes, he is here.
Okay.
Or she.
All right, so then we have the victim on that, which is Miguel Rivera.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I believe that of the 2 interpreter cases that we probably still have left, that the FAM case is probably going to be the longest. So if you want to do that first, and then we can get Ida's Bobby Artist. This is a leash law violation. The victim is, well, we haven't even verified whether he's going to need an interpreter. So Ida, do you want to see if that gentleman needs an interpreter? We can bring Mr. Miguel Ramirez in. Judge, you still ain't switched out that computer.
I have not. That's why you see me continue to rub this one. I will make it work. Yeah.
Maybe you need to go and help him out, Mr. Melrose, you know.
Now, the judge knows what he's doing. He's probably got an IT person that makes more money than I do.
No. I like my little computer.
I know how you feel. You know, we're attached to things that we like. You know, we just
Right.
don't
I'm
wanna.
just gonna keep rubbing it down. And
You just keep rubbing it out, and anything
That's
like you
right.
said, this is you just it's a special effect. You know, no computer, other computers have this, you know, features. So
yeah. So let me ask you, Mr. Prosecutor, do we have any pleas you want to take real quick, and then maybe take the longer trial last so we don't have everyone else waiting?
Well, so we haven't opened up the room to see if anybody has changed their mind to go forward. I was trying to get the interpreters matters out of the way so that they're not, you know, here through all the trials and at the end.
may I ask Mr. Miguel if he needs an interpreter?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Well, still connected to the
Señor,
audio.
okay. Señor, oh shoot, you're right. Okay, Señor Miguel. Oh, now he went away. Okay, here we go. Okay, Señor Miguel Ramírez. Ramírez, ¿usted necesita intérprete?
Sí.
Okay, he does need an interpreter.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and handle that one first.
Well, so I want to do the Vietnamese interpreter first, and then IDIS, and you know, possibly if we keep those other folks on ice, they may want to change their mind when we finally let them in.
Okay.
Or do you want, you know, however you want to run it, Judge?
Well, let's go ahead and do it. I usually do the longest last, just to get those out. But let's go ahead and maybe deal with Miss Ida first, and then deal with the Vietnamese interpreter case.
Okay, so we can let Mr. Bobby Artis in.
Okay, and Officer Thicklin only has one case today.
Okay. We will get, once we get the two interpreter cases out, we'll probably get Thicklin's then.
Yes, and that's Lisa Smith.
Yes.
And do we know if she's in the waiting room?
She is.
Okay. All right, so we're waiting for Mr. Artis to connect to audio. And Officer Edwards. So as soon as Mr. Artis connects to the audio, then we'll get this thing rolling.
And Mr. Melrose, can you remind everyone to please pause so that I can interpret?
Absolutely. Officer Edwards and Mr. Artis.
Yes, sir.
We're going to continue or proceed with the trial of your matters in just a second, but we do have an interpreter who is online interpreting for the witness. So when you are testifying, please make sure that you speak and then pause, allowing the interpreter to have time to interpret what you're saying before you continue. Try not to speak over another person, because then it becomes problematic for the interpreter to separate who's speaking and what's being said. So we're going to make sure that nobody's talking when the other person is talking. And then when one person is speaking, make sure that you pause and give the interpreter enough time to translate what you're saying. And then you can continue with your testimony, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Artis? Bobby Artis.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're charged with a leash law violation. It's my understanding you've entered a not guilty plea to that. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you have any questions you'd like to ask before the trial starts?
No, sir, I don't.
All right, we'll go ahead and proceed then, Mr. Prosecutor.
Okay. Madam Interpreter, can you ask Mr. Ramirez to mute his microphone? I think we're getting, and Mr. Artis, if you can mute your microphone also.
Okay. Señor Ramírez, mientras no tenga que decir nada, por favor, cierre el micrófono para que no tengamos el ruido del trasfondo, ¿ok? Si le toca decir algo, lo va a activar y luego va a hablar, pero y trate de que no haya mucho ruido, porque es muy difícil oír cuando hay ruido en cualquier sitio para mí, ¿ok? Por favor.
And Mr. Artis, in reference to your testimony, whenever you're getting ready to speak, you can take yourself off of mute. And after you're done speaking, place yourself back on mute. It seems like you're outdoors and we're getting interference from the background. So we want to make sure everybody can understand what's going on, okay?
Okay. Cuando terminen de hablar, por favor, asegúrense de apagar el micrófono porque como están afuera o están en algún sitio hay mucho ruido. Entonces, si va a decir algo, prende el micrófono. Si le toca decir algo, lo dice y enseguida apaga el micrófono hasta que le toque de nuevo.
All right, Your Honor, Mr. Artis Jr. is before the court because on April 11th of 2021, he received a citation.
Su señoría, el señor Artis Jr. se encuentra aquí presente en la audiencia porque el 11 de abril del 2021 recibió una citación.
The citation was for a leash law violation that was issued by Officer Edwards.
Esta citación.
Let me swear everyone in.
Todos, por favor, levanten la mano para
Everyone
que,
that's gonna testify, please
que van a
raise your right
testificar, levante su mano.
hand. Do you swear or affirm
¿Usted jura o afirma
that the testimony you're about to give
que el testimonio que va a dar ahora
is the truth, the whole truth?
es la verdad y toda la verdad?
So help you God. If so, say I do.
Y lo jura por Dios. Si así hace, diga sí juro.
Thank you. You can put
Ok,
your hand.
I do. Ok, puede bajar la mano. Entonces le dieron una citación al señor Artis por no tener el perro o el animal estaba suelto.
Again, that citation was issued by Officer Edwards. Officer Edwards, on the date in question, did you have an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Artis?
Ok, esa citación fue emitida por el sargento Edwards y entonces le está preguntando al sargento Edwards si él tuvo contacto con el señor Artis.
Yes, I did.
Sí, sí lo tuve.
And was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Yes, it
Y
is.
ese contacto lo hizo en la ciudad de Forest Park, en los límites de la ciudad de Forest Park, el sargento dijo que sí.
And are you a post-certified peace officer with arrest powers?
Y eso está certificado POST con el Departamento de Policía de Forest Park.
I am.
Sí, sí lo estoy.
Can you briefly state the nature of that contact?
¿Puede decirnos brevemente la índole de ese contacto?
On that date in question, we responded out to an animal nuisance call of a loose dog.
En ese momento,
that may have-
en esa fecha, nosotros acudimos a una llamada que había un perro suelto.
You can continue.
It was in reference to a possible attack of another dog.
Posiblemente el ataque por otro perro.
And when you arrived at that location, you made contact with Mr. Artis first, is that correct?
Y cuando usted llegó ahí, sí, se comunicó primero con el señor Artis, ¿es eso correcto?
I believe so. I should make contact with the victim's family.
En realidad, primero me comuniqué con la familia de la víctima.
Okay. And in speaking to the victim's family, what were you told?
¿Y qué le dijeron cuando se comunicó con la familia de la víctima?
That the neighbor's dog that stays at 630 Glen was the dog that got loose.
Que el perro que vivía en 630 Glen fue el perro que se soltó.
And what transpired with the dog being loose in the neighborhood? Was it just the dog was got outside of the property, or did it actually come in contact with anybody?
¿Y qué pasó cuando dijeron sobre este perro que se había salido de la propiedad? Se salió de la propiedad, tuvo en contacto con otras personas. ¿Qué fue lo que ocurrió con esto?
The gate wasn't properly secured, so the dog got out.
La cerca o la puerta de la cerca no estaba asegurada debidamente y el perro se soltó.
And at some point you did make contact with Mr. Artis, is that correct?
En un
did.
momento usted se comunicó con el señor Artis, ¿correcto? Sí, sí, así lo hice.
And what communications did you receive from him when you were doing your investigation?
Cuando estaba haciendo su investigación, ¿qué fue lo que le dijo? ¿Qué se le dijo él?
That's when I found out he was in the yard doing yard work and the dog got out of the gate.
Ahí fue cuando me enteré de que él estaba en la jardín de atrás haciendo trabajo de jardín y fue cuando el perro se salió por la puerta.
So did Mr. Artis Jr. Give you any information that he understood that the dog got out?
¿Y el señor Artis Jr. dio alguna información de que él entendió que el perro se le había salido?
If I remember correctly, he wasn't aware that the dog had got out originally.
Si recuerdo correctamente, él no se había dado cuenta de que el perro se había salido por la puerta.
Where was the dog when you arrived on the scene?
¿Dónde estaba el perro cuando usted llegó al lugar de los hechos?
I can't recall or remember exactly where the dog was when I got back.
No recuerdo exactamente dónde estaba el perro cuando regresamos.
When you spoke to the witnesses, did they give you a description of the dog?
Cuando usted habló con los testigos, ¿le dieron una descripción del perro?
Yes, it was a larger size German Shepherd.
Sí, era un perro grande, un pastor alemán.
And did they identify the dog as the dog belonging to Mr. Artis Jr.?
¿Identificaron ese perro como el perro que le pertenecía al señor Artis Jr.?
Correct.
Correcto.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
No tengo más preguntas para este testigo de su señoría.
Artist, do you have any questions you'd like to ask the officer, sir?
Señor Artis, ¿tiene preguntas que le quiere hacer a la gente?
You're on mute,
Any-
sir. You have to take yourself off mute.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Sí, señor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
You guys, Judge asked me, did I have any questions for the officer?
Yes, that's correct. Do you have any questions, sir?
Yeah, I do. I just want to respond one thing that he said. That's all.
Well, no. This is
No.
the time that you get to ask questions. You will
I
get
don't
a
have no
chance
I don't have no
to make
questions.
a statement.
I don't have none there. Go
You
ahead.
have no
No.
questions. Okay.
No,
No
sir.
tengo preguntas, no voy a hacer preguntas, sino decir lo que pasó de mi versión de los hechos, pero no tengo preguntas para el policía.
You want to go to the next witness, Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, sir. The city would like to call Mr. Ramirez Rivera.
Ok, ahora señor Ramírez Rivera puede activar su micrófono porque la fiscalía lo está llamando para que venga a testificar, para que testifique ahora.
Sí, dígame.
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Mr. Ramirez Rivera, did you or somebody in your household call the police in reference to a dog being out?
Señor Ramírez Rivera, ¿usted o alguna persona de su familia, de su hogar, llamó a la policía por relación a un perro que se había suelto, que estaba suelto?
Sí, mi hijo.
Yes, my son.
And was this on April 11th, 2021?
¿Y esto fue el 11 de abril del 2021?
Sí.
Yes.
And the report in reference to the loose dog was the dog that you guys called about, the dog that you believe belonged to Mr. Artis?
Y la razón por la cual, o el perro que ustedes, por la razón por la cual ustedes llamaron a la policía acerca del perro que se había suelto, ¿es el perro que usted cree que le pertenecía al señor Artis?
Sí, ese es.
Yes, that's it.
And how do you identify that dog as belonging to Mr. Artis? Have you seen the dog before?
¿Cómo identifica usted que ese perro le pertenece al señor Artis? ¿Usted ha visto este perro anteriormente?
Sí, porque es mi vecino, yo vivo enfrente ahí junto a él.
Yes, because he's my neighbor. I live across the street from him.
Can you tell us what occurred on that day that you ended up calling the police for the dog being loose?
¿Nos puede decir qué ocurrió ese día cuando usted llamó a la policía porque el perro estaba suelto? Y por favor haga pausa, señor Ramírez, cuando vaya a decir algo, haga una pausita para yo interpretar, ¿ok? Diga lo que usted sabe, pues.
No, sí se salió porque el gate yo creo estaba abierto.
Yes, the dog got out because I think the gate was open.
But how did all that occur?
¿Cómo ocurrió todo eso?
Pues yo solamente cuando vi el perro venía corriendo hacia mi perrito.
Okay, when I saw the dog was running towards my little dog.
Oh, did it attack your dog?
¿Atacó a su perro?
Solamente medio lo rasguñó, no le hizo mucho.
It's just some scratches. That's what he did, scratch him.
And what happened after that?
¿Qué pasó después de eso?
Pues ya llegó la policía y el perro se metió para adentro solito, el perro se regresó.
The police came and the dog went back inside on his own by himself. He did it himself.
He went back to the property where the gate was open?
¿Él regresó a la propiedad donde estaba la puerta abierta?
Sí, él se metió para adentro, yo lo espanté que se regresara para atrás.
Yes, I shoo him out and then he went back inside the property where he came from.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Artis at any point, and were you able to talk to him about the dog being loose?
¿En algún momento usted vio al señor Artis y pudo hablar con él sobre el hecho de que el perro estaba suelto?
No, él andaba cortando su yarda.
No, he was mowing the lawn.
Okay, nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
Ah,
All
no
right,
tengo más
Mr.
preguntas.
Artis, do you have any questions you'd like to ask the witness?
Me está preguntando si el señor Artis tiene alguna pregunta para usted.
Mr. Bobby Artis? Let me have you to unmute yourself, Mr. Artis. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Artis, do you have any questions you would like to ask the witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Él no
Does
tiene
he have
preguntas.
any other evidence?
And he
Well,
has
he
no
spoke to
further
my
evidence.
wife, Your Honor.
Ask him, the witness say, didn't you speak to my wife?
The witness spoke to my wife.
Okay. You will get a chance to say all of that. Does the city have any other witnesses they'd like to call?
No, the city rests, Your Honor.
All right, the city has rested. Now, Mr. Artis, you can tell me what happened. And generally what this gentleman is saying is that you were out mowing the lawn, your dog got loose, your dog attacked his dog. The injuries were not substantial, but they did attack the dog. And eventually your dog was placed back inside the yard. That's what he's testifying to. Do you have a statement you'd like to make, Mr. Artis, or is there someone you'd like to testify first?
May I interpret that, Your Honor, to Mr.
Yes,
Pérez?
yes,
Okay.
please.
El juez lo que estaba haciendo un recuento de lo que ocurrió, que dijo usted que ocurrió, que el señor estaba trabajando en el jardín cortando el zacate y se le salió el perro vino y atacó a su perro, que no fueron unas lesiones graves, no fue una cosa, no fue mayor cosa, y que luego el perro se devolvió a la casa donde salió. Entonces ahora el señor Artis tiene la opción, tiene el derecho ahora de dar la versión de lo que vio, pero esto le está haciendo un recuento el juez al señor Artis de lo que usted dijo, ¿ok? Okay, go ahead.
Still get to tell your statement.
Oh, yeah, yes, Your Honor. That day I was cutting grass and obviously we neighbors, so we stay right across the street from each other.
En ese día yo estaba cortando el zacate y nosotros somos vecinos, vivimos al cruzar la calle enfrente uno del otro.
Me being aware that the dog come out from the backyard behind the gate as I was cutting grass, and Migo and his friend were walking down the street, and his son, I'm sorry, and the dog just ran, and I seen the dog, and I was cutting grass, and then.
Okay, yo estaba cortando la grama y entonces vi que el hijo del señor estaba caminando por la calle, y entonces el perro se salió y yo seguía cortando la grama.
So he was just trying to play with his son dog, Your Honor, and
él estaba tratando de jugar con el perro con el perro de su hijo, con él.
Yeah, I wanted, and then my wife came up, and then I wanted her to testify stand in because she took it from there, dealing with the officer and dealing with my neighbor.
Entonces ahora tengo a mi esposa que quiero que testifique porque ella fue la que se comunicó con el vecino y también habló con el agente de policía.
All right, Mr. Artis, let me make sure that I'm understanding your question, what you said. You were out mowing the lawn, is that correct?
Yes,
¿Usted
Your Honor.
estaba cortando la grama, ¿es eso correcto? Sí.
And while you were mowing the lawn, your dog got out of the fence.
Y mientras usted cortaba la grama, su perro se salió de la cerca. Señor, Mr. Artis, you need to wait until I interpret because Mr. Rivera needs to know what's going on, please. So wait until I finish interpreting so you can keep the testimony. Thank you.
So, Mr. Artis, my question is, while you were mowing the lawn, did your dog get out of the yard?
Mi pregunta es que mientras usted estaba cortando la grama, ¿se le salió el perro de su jardín?
I was in the front yard. We have a backyard, and the dog came from the back. I'm on the front. Me go them walking down the sidewalk. The dog come to the front yard. It's still in the yard, literally. So he got a dog, and my dog tried to be friendly and go play with his son dog. And then next thing you know, that's when the dog was right there in the front of my yard. But far out of my yard, sidewalk here, my yard here.
Okay.
Mr. Artis, let me ask you this question: is your backyard fenced in?
Yes, sir. My backyard is fenced in, Your Honor.
Is your front yard fenced in?
Yes, sir. It's fenced in except the driveway, Your Honor. It's fenced on both sides. Fenced this way, just not the street. Not fenced on the street because the city of Forest Park, we got sidewalk right there.
Okay, so the dog came into your front yard. Was the dog on a leash when he came into your front yard?
He always still on the leash. We got a chain in the back. He just came out the front. I'm mowing the yard.
Let me repeat my question and let me slow down for the interpreter. Madam Interpreter, can you pick up on this?
I'm sorry.
Yes, Your Honor, I can do a little recount of what he said about the dog coming from the backyard to the front yard. Okay, señor Rivera, lo que está diciendo el señor es que él estaba cortando el zacate en el jardín de adelante, que el perro estaba en el jardín de atrás y que se vino para adelante porque vio que vio a su hijo con el perrito que estaba caminando y quería ser amigable con el perrito. Y entonces el juez le preguntó que si tenía una cerca alrededor, y le dije que sí, que tenía una cerca en la parte de atrás, en el jardín de atrás, y tenía una cerca en el jardín de adelante, menos en la entrada al garaje, porque no se lo puede hacer en la ciudad de Forest Park.
So, Mr. Artist, my question is, when your dog came from the backyard to the front yard, was your dog on a leash?
No, I meant a collar. He was on a collar, Your Honor. I'm sorry. He wasn't on a leash because I let him run around the backyard because it's fenced in.
Ok, entonces el juez le preguntó que cuando el perro se vino de la parte de atrás para la parte de adelante, que si estaba con una cadena o amarrado, y él le dice que no, que tenía un collar, pero que no estaba amarrado.
So am I to understand that when he came into your front yard, he was no longer on a leash? Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Entonces tengo entendido que cuando él se vino al jardín de adelante, no tenía una cadena o no estaba amarrado. Entonces él está diciendo que sí, que el perro cuando se vino para adelante no estaba sostenido, no estaba amarrado.
And Mr. Angel was walking down the sidewalk with his dog. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Y el señor Angel estaba caminando en la acera con su perrito y él dice que eso es correcto.
And did Mr. Angel's dog come into your yard or did your dog come onto the sidewalk?
My dog followed me in the front yard when I was cutting grass, and yes, he did come in the sidewalk. That's how he touched Angel or dog.
Ok, entonces el juez le pregunta que si el perro de él se quedó en el jardín de enfrente o que si se fue para la acera. Él dice que el señor Artis dice que al principio el perro estaba en el jardín con el de delantero y luego sí se fue hacia la acera cuando vio al señor Ángel y al perrito de él.
Thank you. Mr. Artist, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Señor Artis, ¿tiene algo más que decir?
All right. Mr. Artist, do you have any other witnesses you'd like to testify, sir?
¿Tiene otros testigos que quieren testificar?
Yeah, I do, Your Honor.
Okay.
Sí, tiene otros testigos.
There she go.
All right. Ma'am, let me swear you in.
Yes, sir.
La van a
Let me have you please raise your right hand. Swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
And what is your name?
Mercedes Artist.
Okay, el nombre de ella es Mercedes Artis.
And Ms. Artist, what is your relationship to Mr. Artist?
¿Cuál es su vínculo con él? Él es mi esposo.
Were you there the day that this happened?
¿Usted estuvo ahí el día que esto pasó?
I arrived at the time that the incident was taking place.
Sí, yo llegué cuando estaba ocurriendo el incidente.
Why don't you tell me what happened, and then the prosecutor may have some questions to ask you, okay?
Dígame lo que pasó y el fiscal puede que tenga unas preguntas después de esto.
So our backyard is completely fenced in. Our dog is usually on a leash, but we like let him off the leash to be able to run around, to be able to play, stretch his legs and things. So
Artist, I need for you to pause after you say a sentence so that the interpreter can interpret what you're saying, okay?
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, nosotros tenemos el perro amarrado, lo tenemos en el jardín de atrás que está con una cerca, pero lo dejamos suelto en el jardín de atrás para que el perro pueda correr y pueda estirar las piernas y pueda hacer todo esto.
Continue.
Yeah, so on this day, my husband came through our fence with the lawnmower and he cranked it and started cutting the grass.
Okay, now, en ese día mi esposo se vino con la cortadora de grama por la puerta, por la reja de la puerta de la reja, y la prendió y empezó a cortar el zacate.
So the gate was closed behind us, but we don't like put chains or anything on it when we're just going in and out with the lawnmower. We close it and put the thing down, but I think the dog may have used his nose to follow. That's the only thing he can.
Miss Artist, remember we're having to interpret your testimony. So
Yes.
can you keep your statements short? Let them interpret. You'll have plenty of time to say what happened, okay?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
so she can just tell him,
Okay.
I believe that the dog used
Okay,
his
you need,
nose to
Miss
follow
Artis,
him.
Miss Artis, I have not interpreted like the bunch of things that you said before, so please allow me to interpret, okay?
Okay.
Nosotros cerramos la puerta de las rejas, pero no la cerramos con cadena ni nada, sino queda como con una aldabita que tiene, y parece ser que a lo mejor el perro con la nariz movió la aldabita y pudo salirse de la cerca, de la parte de atrás, okay? Now you can go ahead.
So yeah, he followed my husband out into the front yard, and once he saw the young man walking with the dog, he went over to try to play with the dog, and they tussled a
Okay.
bit.
So
And I came and spoke with the neighbor.
entonces el perro vio que se vino detrás de mi marido cuando mi esposo estaba sacando la cortadora de grama, y entonces cuando venía detrás de mi marido, y cuando vio al perrito con la otra persona, se vino para ir a jugar con el perro. Okay.
So yes, I was talking with the neighbors because we are good friends. We've been neighbors for 9 years.
Yo
And
estaba
I went
hablando
over
con
to
los vecinos
for their
porque
pet.
somos buenos vecinos y tenemos una relación de 9 años, somos buenos vecinos, estuve hablando con ellos, ¿ok?
Yeah, so I went over to check on their pet to make sure that he was okay. And at that time that I was checking with my neighbors is when they had already, I guess, made the call. They informed me, and the police arrived like immediately.
Ok, so después que yo fui a hablar con mis vecinos para asegurarme de que todo estaba bien. Creo que en ese momento que pasó todo esto fue cuando ellos llamaron a la policía y la policía vino inmediatamente.
So I believe that they probably thought my husband was being dismissive, but he actually cannot tell that the dog was out or what was taking place because of mowing the lawn, because he had his back turned mowing the lawn, but I saw.
Okay, ellos pensaron que mi esposo no estaba dándoles la atención que se merecían, pero era que mi esposo estaba de espalda porque él estaba cortando el zacate y no se había percatado de lo que estaba pasando. Yo les dije eso.
And lastly, I'd like to say that this is not a frequent occurrence where our dog gets out. We're very responsible pet owners. And if you ask my neighbor, he probably can witness, him and his family can attest that me and my children are always running up and down the neighborhood, actually helping to retrieve other people's pets.
Esto no es algo que ha ocurrido anteriormente, que ocurre con frecuencia. Ustedes pueden también hablar con mis vecinos, que ellos pueden atestiguar que nosotros somos unos dueños de perros responsables, y también ayudamos a veces a otras personas cuando se les sueltan los perros a irlos a buscar en la calle. Ellos pueden testificar de que nosotros somos unas personas responsables, dueños de mascotas.
Yes, that's all I want to say is that this is not a frequent occurrence. And me and my children, we're always being a good Samaritan, helping to get pets back to their owners, like on a regular basis. Not, I'm not saying that nobody else needs to be persecuted or anything like that, but pets do escape. Sometimes they get away from their owners, and it's more of a frequent occurrence that we're helping to return pets back to their particular owners.
Miss Artis, you know that there is no way for them to interpret that last sentence that you just said. Now, don't you?
What do you mean there's no way they can interpret?
There's no way for her to keep up with everything that you're saying.
That's all. That was the end.
All right. Okay.
Okay. También quiero decir que nosotros reiterar nuevamente que somos unos dueños de mascotas responsables. Mis hijos y yo siempre somos el buen samaritano que ayudamos a otras personas cuando se les salen los animalitos, los perritos, los ayudamos a que los recuperen. Es algo que esto no ocurre con frecuente, pero como sabemos a veces los animales escapan y puede ocurrir esto algunas veces.
Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Ms. Artis?
I do not, Your Honor.
El fiscal no tiene preguntas para la señorita Artis.
Mr. Artis, are there any other witnesses before I make a decision?
No, Your Honor.
Are there any other witnesses before I make a decision in this case?
No, they're not, Your Honor.
No hay más testigos.
All right. Okay. Mr. Artis, you have entered a not guilty plea to the violation of the leash law, which is a city ordinance violation here in Forest Park. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Señor Artis, usted ha presentado una declaración de no culpable a una ley de ordenanza de la ciudad que es no cumplir con tener a los animales amarrados. ¿Usted entendió eso, que es una ordenanza de la ciudad? Él dijo que sí.
Based on the evidence, sir, the court does find you guilty of the violation.
Basado en las pruebas, el juez determina que usted es culpable de este incumplimiento.
Court notes that this is the first time you've been charged with this.
También sabemos que esta es la primera vez que a usted lo acusan de este delito.
Let me ask Mr. Ramirez, were there any medical expenses incurred by his animal?
Ok, señor Ramírez, le estamos preguntando, ¿usted tuvo gastos médicos que incurrió debido a esto con el perrito, el ataque al perrito? ¿Hubo gastos médicos?
No hubo gastos médicos.
No, there were not any medical expenses.
Okay, so the dog is fine.
Entonces, ¿el perro se encuentra bien?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. Then in light of the fact that there are no medical expenses, sir, you have been found guilty. The court is not going to impose a fine this time. Do you understand that, Mr. Artis?
Yes, Your Honor.
No hay gastos médicos y el juez nos va a imponer una multa en este momento. ¿Entendió el señor Artis? Dice que sí.
You will receive your judgment of having been found guilty of this, and that will conclude this matter. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Usted recibe el fallo de que lo encontraron culpable.
Address in the chat.
Okay,
Mr. Artis, you typed your name and email address in the chat.
Yes, sir.
Ok, señor Ramírez, lo encontraron culpable, pero el juez no impuso ninguna multa porque es la primera vez. Entonces, pero sí lo encontraron culpable de lo que ocurrió.
All right, well, thank you both, and you both can disengage from the call.
Gracias
Thank you,
a los
Your
dos y los dos se pueden retirar de la llamada. Ya se acabó el caso. Okay. May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you.
And thank you for helping me out to try to control the flow of information.
Ida, I'm
Very
sorry.
difficult.
No problem. You know that is the job of the prosecutor and I.
Miss
We
Ida,
can
Yes,
keep
thank
it
you.
moving, okay?
Miss Ida,
Yes, Miss Yolanda, I hear you.
we do have someone in the lobby that will need.
Oh, okay, sure. I'll hang out. No problem. Okay, I'll wait here whenever they call. Do you know the name?
Well, he was logged in under Anderson Salone. But now he's logged in as LG Stylo or something like that, but he's actually in the lobby.
Okay. Okay, I'll be here waiting.
Okay, thank you.
So Judge, I don't know if you want to go ahead and do Fam's case.
That is fine.
We can go ahead and let Miss Pham in. And that is an improper turn charge, also Officer Edwards' case.
All right. And if you like, Miss Green, you can actually let everybody in. If you are Miss Yates or Miss Payton, if you all just want to let everybody that's in the queue in. Ready? Are we ready for the Pham case?
We are, Your Honor.
All right. Everyone that's going to testify in the Pham case, please raise your right hand.
Những người mà trong cái kê của chị Quê Phạm mà giơ tay phải lên.
Will you please ask Miss Pham to please raise her right hand? Do you
Chị Huê,
swear?
chị
Go
Huê
ahead, Mr. Interpreter.
giơ tay phải lên để thề.
Do you swear or affirm
Tôi xin thề trước tòa.
Tôi xin thề trước tòa.
Chị nghe thôi, chị nghe thôi, để chút xíu là
Dạ.
chị đồng ý thề.
that the testimony you are to provide
Những cái lời khai của tôi trước tòa
is the truth,
là sự thật
the whole truth,
và sự thật thôi.
and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Tôi sẽ khai toàn sự thật thôi, tôi xin thề.
If so, say I do.
Nếu mà I do.
All right.
Chị
Officer
nói tay
Edwards?
xuống đi, chị Huệ xong rồi.
All right, Mr. Prosecutor, if you go ahead and present the case.
Yes, Your Honor. Let me make an announcement real quick. Everybody who's been led into the online hearing, be sure that your microphone is mute at all times during this proceeding unless you're being spoken to directly. We're going through a trial right now. We do not need any interruptions, so make sure your microphone stays on mute. Yes, Your Honor. So on Mrs. Pham, she was charged with improper turn on November 4th of 2020.
Chị Huệ Phạm chị bị công tố về cái tội là quẹo sai trái không đúng luật vào tháng 11 ngày 4 tây tháng 11 năm 2021.
Officer Edwards issued that citation. Officer Edwards, on the date in question, did you have an
Thì
opportunity to come
ông cảnh sát Edward là cái người mà viết cái ticket ngày hôm đó.
Yes, I did.
Đúng rồi, tôi là cái người mà viết cái ticket ngày hôm đó cho chị.
Was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Thì cái ticket thì
Yes.
trong lúc nó xảy ra ở trong phạm vi của Forest Park phải không? Phải.
And are you a post-certified peace officer hours?
Và ông có bằng làm cảnh sát không?
Yes.
Dạ có.
Can you briefly state the nature of that contact?
Ông có thể kể cho tôi nghe cái nội vụ cái bữa đó nó như thế nào?
The driver turned left from Parkway.
Cái bà ta bả quẹo trái trong cái Forest Parkway.
Were you?
I'm sorry, I misspoke. The driver turned left from Old Dixie onto Forest Parkway.
No, tôi nói lại là đi từ Old Dixie đó là quẹo trái vô cái con đường Forest Parkway.
Now, I see that
and
this.
went directly into the outer lane.
Repeat that again, Officer Edwards.
The Miss turned left from DC onto Forest Parkway and went directly into the outer lane.
Thì cái bà Phạm này là bà quẹo trái ở trong vô cái đường Forest Parkway.
And were you on stationary at that location when you observed the violation, or were you traveling in traffic?
Cái lúc đó là ông đang đầu xe và ông nhìn thấy bà hay là ông đang chạy xe?
I was stationary.
Lúc đó là tôi đậu chứ tôi không có chạy.
So when you observed Miss Pham make the traffic violation, you made contact with her, is that correct?
Rồi ông ngồi ông thấy thì bà ta quẹo sai trái, thành thử đó là ông chặn bà lại phải không?
That's correct.
Đúng rồi.
And you explained to her after you pulled her over what you were pulling her over for?
Khi mà ông chặn lại, ông có giải thích cho bà Phạm này biết là bà đã làm cái gì, bà phạm cái tội gì không?
Correct.
Có.
Now, I understand that there are some language barriers there, but she did sign the citation, is that correct?
Thì tôi hiểu là cái ngôn ngữ bất đồng, tuy nhiên bà ta vẫn ký trong cái ticket đó, đúng không?
Correct.
Đúng.
So that leads you to believe that she understood enough of what you're saying to acknowledge the receipt of the citation?
Rồi khi mà bà ta ký vô đó thì ông hiểu rằng là ông nghĩ rằng là bà ta hiểu hết những cái gì mà ông giải thích phải không?
That's correct.
Đúng rồi, tôi nghĩ vậy.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Tôi không còn câu hỏi gì hết, thưa tòa.
Thank you. Can you please ask Ms. Pham if she has any questions she'd like to ask the officer?
Bây giờ là cái cơ hội, chị có những câu hỏi gì để hỏi cái ông
Dạ, cái con đường em đi làm á, cái con đường em đi làm á là em đi làm 10 năm nay rồi, là em quẹo trái, em cặp trái, rồi em sang phải, mà ổng ngồi ở trên trạm xăng á, ổng nhìn ổng không thấy em.
Mr. Interpreter, can you please stop Miss Pham and tell her this is the phase where you ask questions, not tell me what happened. Does she have any questions?
Chị đây cái này nếu chị có câu hỏi thì chị hỏi trực tiếp ông cảnh sát, chứ không có, chị chưa có cái cơ hội để mà chị giải thích nha. Câu hỏi thôi, nếu mà chị có chất vấn gì ông cảnh sát thì chị chất vấn bằng câu hỏi.
Rồi bây giờ sao anh? Bây giờ phải nói gì?
What can I say, Judge? What do I say?
Ask her, does she have any questions she'd like to ask the officer? She will be given a time to make a statement as to what happened.
Bây giờ là cái cơ hội là chị hỏi thôi, chị chất vấn thôi. Chị có câu hỏi gì hỏi ổng không? Rồi chút xíu nữa là chị có cái cơ hội để trình bày cho tôi biết được là cái tình trạng của chị.
Yeah, mình hỏi gì giờ thì giờ em chỉ biết là em chỉ biết là cái con đường em đi em không có lỗi.
Như vậy là I don't know what to ask the question. I just wanted to explain it to you, Your Honor.
Tell her
Tại
that she
sao?
will have an opportunity to explain at a later time.
Chút xíu nữa. Dạ, bây giờ chị hỏi đi.
Giờ hỏi nè, tôi hỏi cái câu hỏi này, tại sao ông đưa ông bắt lỗi tôi xong rồi ông kêu tôi đi về đi, rồi tới 5 giờ sáng ông lại nhà tôi, ông gõ cửa, ông đưa tôi cái ticket, ông bắt tôi ký vô rồi tới 5 giờ sáng ông mới đưa tôi cái ticket, ông lại nhà ông mất cửa.
Officer, I have the question for you. I signed the ticket, and why did you come back to my house in 5 in the morning and ask me to sign the ticket again?
Hey, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Hello. Anh nói cho rõ ràng giùm em nè anh. Là đó là khi mà ông thổi em xong rồi đó thì em nói là em không có sai.
Ask Ms. Pham to please hold on a minute. Ms. Pham, please hold on a minute. Is Officer Edwards still connected?
I am.
Her question, Officer Edwards, is if she signed the ticket at the time of the incident, why did you come to her house a few days later for her to sign the ticket again?
Okay. Bà ta hỏi ông đó là bà ta đã ký cái ticket rồi, tại sao ông phải tới nhà bà ta 5 giờ sáng sau để mà bắt bà ký nữa?
Đúng rồi, bắt lấy đưa cái ticket cho tôi thôi, tôi ký ở đó rồi, nhưng mà ông kêu tôi về đi, tới 5 giờ sáng ông đưa tôi cái ticket, ông bắt tôi phải ký.
Your Honor, I mean, I signed the ticket.
Tôi nói tôi không đưa, tôi sai tôi không.
And he didn't give me the ticket at that time. But he come back to my house 5 in the morning, gave me the ticket. Why did he do that?
Okay. So her question, Officer Edwards, is she signed the ticket at the time of the incident, and she wanted to know why did you bring her a signed copy of the ticket at a later time?
Originally, if I remember correctly, I gave her the court copy originally instead of the violators copy. So that's why I brought back, I made contact back with her again.
Thưa tòa, tại vì cái bữa đó là tôi đưa lộn cho bà ta. Đáng lý là tôi đưa cái ticket nhưng mà tôi chỉ đưa cái giấy để cái ngày để bà ta đi ra tòa. Chứ
không đưa giấy gì hết trơn á, không đưa tôi giấy gì hết trơn á, không có đưa, bắt tôi ký mà không đưa tôi giấy gì hết trơn á, rồi xong tôi về nhà 5 giờ sáng không có đưa tôi giấy gì hết á. Anh nói giùm được tòa giùm tôi, không đưa tôi giấy gì hết á. Tôi nói là
rồi cho chị nói xong rồi, bây giờ chị để tôi dịch nha. Chị nói ngắn gọn
để cho tôi nói cho rõ ràng nha, anh giúp tôi cho rõ ràng nha. Trước khi đó ông nói tôi quẹo sai, tôi nói tôi không quẹo sai, tôi quẹo trái, tôi cặp trái, xong rồi tôi bỏ đèn ngang tôi sang phải, tôi đi về. Ông thổi tôi, ông nói tôi có tội, tôi không nói là tôi có tội, tôi không chịu ký tên, ông bắt tôi phải ký. Thì tôi bây giờ cảnh sát bắt ký thì mình phải ký rồi ông kêu tôi go good, tôi về xong tới 5 giờ sáng ông lại ông nóc cửa tôi, ông đưa tôi cái ticket mà phá giấc ngủ của tôi nữa, tôi làm cả hai nữa anh nói rõ rồi giùm em, cảm ơn anh.
The situation is Your Honor, I turned and he stopped me and he asked me to sign the ticket. I don't feel I'm guilty, but because he's intimidated me, so I have to sign the ticket. And he didn't give me anything at that time. But he come back next day at 5 in the morning. He knocked in my door and he gave me the ticket. I was sleeping at that time, Your Honor. Why did he do that?
He gave her the court copy of the ticket at the time of the infraction. Tell her that.
Thì lúc đó cảnh sát nói, bảo Tà nói là ông đưa cái copy của cái ticket cho chị.
Không có đưa cái gì hết. Dạ, không có đưa gì hết. Dạ.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah. I understand that she disagrees. I understand that she disagrees with that, but I'm just simply telling her what happened, okay?
Tôi đồng ý là chị phản đối cái đó, nhưng mà tôi chỉ nói cho chị biết là ông cảnh sát ông nói như vậy nha, chị nghe.
But tell Miss Pham that I'm glad that she has the ticket and I will decide her guilt or her innocence. So Mr. Prosecutor, ask Miss Pham, does she have any other questions she wants to ask the officer?
Tôi giải thích cho chị là bây giờ chị có cái ticket, rồi cuối cùng tôi là cái người quyết định chị có tội hay là không có tội. Ok, công tố. Ông có câu hỏi gì nữa không?
Em có câu hỏi gì nữa không ạ? Dạ không.
Cái này bà hỏi ông công tố chứ
she has no other questions. Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Pham, why don't you tell us what happened?
Rồi bây giờ chị cho tôi biết đi cái chuyện gì xảy ra đi, bây giờ là cái cơ hội chị giải thích cho tôi biết.
Dạ.
Chị nói từ từ nha, chị nói từ từ ngắn gọn thì tôi mới dịch được.
Dạ. Cái con đường đó em đi làm á 10 năm nay rồi, em quẹo trái.
I've been driving on that street for 10 years, Your Honor. The street I'm going to work for 10 years.
Dạ. Em quẹo trái thì em phải cặp trái xong thì em sang phải.
When I turn left, you know, I have to keep on the left, and after I keep on the left, and then I turn right.
Dạ. Rồi á, ông ấy ở trong trạm xăng, ông nhìn không kỹ, ông ở bên cái trạm xăng, ông đậu.
He will stationary in the gas station. I didn't think he can see me clearly, Your Honor.
Dạ. Rồi He mới lại mới chạy theo em, chớp đèn theo em. Rồi em mới ngược trở lại.
And then he stopped. He stopped my car, so I stopped for him.
Rồi em mới nói ổng là em quẹo trái, em cặp trái xong rồi em sang phải, nhưng mà ông ở trong tâm xăng ông không có thấy, ông nghĩ là em quẹo phải, ông bắt lỗi em.
I try to explain it to him that I turn left, I keep on left, right after I keep on left, you know, I turn right. So he think that I turn right.
Yeah. Rồi xong á là ông nói với em là phải ký tên vô, em sai, em không có sai, và bắt em phải ký thì em ký.
The officer asked me to sign the ticket, but I try not to sign the ticket, but he just kept asking me, so I have to sign the ticket.
Tell her that she has a requirement to sign the ticket.
Chị bắt buộc trong luật đó là chị phải ký, cái luật là người là phải ký ticket.
Let her know by signing the ticket, she is not agreeing with what's on the ticket. She's simply acknowledging receipt of it.
Nhưng em vẫn ký.
Khoan, chị nghe tôi giải thích cái lời của tòa trước khi chị nói. Tòa giải thích là chị ký cái ticket không có nghĩa là chị nhận tội.
Dạ, em có ký.
Xong rồi bây giờ chị nói đi.
Rồi em ký xong rồi ông nói you would go thì em go. Ông đưa em giấy gì hết á, không đưa em cái giấy gì hết trơn á, không đưa gì hết á.
After I signed the ticket and then he let me go. and he didn't give me anything, Your Honor.
Okay, tell her thank you. Is there
Cảm ơn
anything
chị.
else you'd like to say?
Rồi ngoài ra còn gì nữa không?
Rồi xong á tới 5 giờ sáng ông đóng cửa, ông đưa cái giấy ticket.
Rồi then you know
Em-
he came back at my house 5 in the morning and finally gave me a ticket.
Tell her thank you. Is there anything else she'd like to say?
Rồi tôi nghe hết rồi, cảm ơn chị. Rồi còn gì nữa không? Vậy thôi phải không?
Dạ không, dạ.
Yeah. No sir, that's all I want to say.
Okay. Does the prosecutor have any questions?
No question.
Luật sư tòa có hỏi gì nữa không?
Let Miss Pham know that she's entered not guilty plea to the charge.
Hôm nay chị chống án, chị không nhận tội ngày hôm nay.
Let her know that the court finds her guilty of the violation.
Dạ.
Nhưng mà tòa quyết định rằng chị đã phạm tội đó.
The court is not going to impose a fine.
Nhưng mà
Em
tòa
không có phạm tội.
chị im. Tòa nói rằng là tòa sẽ không có phạt chị gì hết.
Dạ.
There is no fine imposed. Has she typed her email address into the chat?
Chị không có phạm tội gì hết. Bây giờ ở ngay chỗ cái chat đó, chị vô trong cái chat đó, chị tên của chị và cho tòa biết được cái email của chị. Okay.
If she has not typed it in the chat, can she please tell you her email address so that you can repeat it so that they can send her a copy of the criminal judgment in this case?
Rồi đó, chị cho tôi biết được cái email, chị vô cái chat đó, chị đánh tên chị cái email thì tòa sẽ gửi cái quyết định của tòa là chị có tội nhưng mà không có phạt chị đồng nào hết. Hiểu không?
Dạ.
Cháu giúp mẹ đánh cái email vô cái chat đó, cháu hiểu không? Để cho thấy cái chat không?
Dạ đánh rồi.
Yeah.
Đánh rồi.
She did, Your Honor. She had the email address. Phạm Huy.
Tell her thank you. She can disengage from the call, and Mr. Interpreter, thank you for your services today.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Rồi bây giờ xong rồi nghe chị. Thôi bye bye chị.
Dạ dạ anh hỏi thăm anh. Vậy là em có đóng
Xong
phạt.
rồi.
Vậy là xong rồi đó anh.
Rồi không có đóng phạt.
Dạ thôi em cảm ơn. Dạ cảm ơn tòa, cảm ơn anh luôn.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Prosecutor, would you like to go to the next matter?
Judge, I believe that there was only one other interpreter case. I don't know which one that is.
And I think that one of the officers only had one case.
Yeah.
Officer Pickman.
Mr. Merrill, I think Ms. Yolanda said, so you know, I think it was Salom Teran Anderson. I think he's on the page. Hold on.
Yes, I think he's logged in now as LG Styler.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do Thicklin since he only has one, and that's going to be on Lisa Smith.
It's on page 4, so you know, that's all.
Okay.
Ms. Smith?
Good morning.
Good morning. It's my understanding you're entering a not guilty plea to the traffic control device case. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, let me have you and Officer Thicklin to please raise your hand so we can go ahead and start this trial.
Okay.
You all swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. If so, say I do.
I do.
All right. Ms. Thicklin, do you have any questions you'd like to ask regarding this process before we begin this trial?
Would be Ms. Smith, Judge.
Excuse me, Ms. Smith?
Yes, sir.
I apologize. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask regarding the court process before we begin this trial?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Prosecutor, if you'll go ahead and start the case.
Absolutely, Your Honor. On September 1st of 2021, Ms. Smith was given a citation for running a red light. Officer Thicklin issued that citation. Officer Thicklin, on the date in question, do you have an opportunity to come in contact with Ms. Smith?
Yes, sir.
Was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Yes, sir.
Are you a post-certified peace officer with arrest powers?
I am.
Can you briefly state the nature of that contact?
Yes, I was at the intersection of Old Dixie and Old Dixie Road on First Street. Mrs. Smith's vehicle entered the intersection when the traffic light was red. I then conducted a traffic pullover on her vehicle.
All right. And so when you made contact with Mrs. Smith, you pulled her over and explained to her why you were pulling her over. Did she make any statements to you that you can recall?
No, sir.
All right. Nothing further for this witness at this time, Judge.
All right. Ms. Smith, do you have any questions you'd like to ask the officer?
Just want to know how do you give a traffic ticket to something you didn't even see? How is that possible?
Okay. So Ms. Smith, let me help you with your questions. The way to better ask that question is, were there any obstructions preventing you from seeing what's going on?
Okay.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So why don't we need to ask the question in a way that he can answer it. The way
Okay.
you ask that question is very difficult to answer because obviously he felt like he saw it, which is why you got the citation in the first place.
Okay.
So her question to you, officer, is, were there any obstructions that would have blocked your view to seeing what took place?
Okay, so at that point, I was on First Street facing westbound. My light was green, and she entered the intersection when my light was green. I made a right-hand turn going northbound on Old Dixie and pulled her over.
Okay, so you're saying there were no obstructions?
Correct.
All right, go ahead with your next question, Ms. Smith.
I have no more questions. That was my only question, sir.
Okay. Does the city have any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, but Judge, let me just for clarification, if I could ask Officer Thicklin a question in reference to Ms. Smith's question. Officer Thicklin, you said that you were entering the intersection at the same time going in the opposite direction. Is that correct?
Correct.
And your light was green. So in your estimation, obviously her light could not have been.
Correct.
All right, so because you were traveling in traffic, you had visual contact of the vehicle Ms. Smith was driving at all times. Is that correct?
Correct.
And subsequently, you pulled her over based on observing the infraction while you were traveling. Is that correct?
I was stopped at that intersection.
You were.
I
So
was stopped.
you were stopped at the intersection because you were observing traffic, or because?
No, because I initially had the red light. My light turned green, and then her car entered the intersection.
Okay, I understand. All right, so you were going to proceed when her car turned the intersection because you had the green light.
Correct.
All right, nothing further for this witness, Judge.
All right. Ms. Smith, based on that supplemental testimony of the police officer, do you have any questions?
I just wanted to tell my side of the story because it's not accurate. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, Ms. Smith, you're going to get a chance to do that. That goes to the
Yes,
court
sir.
process. But right
Yes,
now,
sir.
do you have any questions you'd like to ask him?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Does the prosecution rest?
City rest, Judge.
All right, Ms. Smith, now you have an opportunity to present your version. You've entered a not guilty plea. Why don't you tell us what happened?
So yes, sir. I was coming down Old Dixie. I was on my way to work. It was rush hour. It was like 7:30 in the morning because I was on my way to pick up a coworker. I had to go to work. As the traffic was flowing, it turned yellow. As I got underneath the traffic lights, exactly because I look up as I always do for whatever reason, the light had just turned red underneath my car. So I was already underneath. As the officer was coming down the street, he was still down the street. You were still halfway down the street, but by the time I got down before the light at Forest Parkway, you had finally pulled me over in the middle of the block. You was nowhere near me. And then that's when I asked you questions like, sir, you were still down the block. How did you see me? You were still coming up by the Texaco. You didn't want to hear nothing that I said. You didn't even want to listen. You didn't even want to look. So I don't understand, how did you see something if you're still down the block?
So Ms. Smith, let me just repeat what I understood you to say. That when you entered the intersection, the light was yellow, and when you got up under the light turned red.
Yes, sir.
and you're wondering how the officer saw that because he was down the street.
Yes, sir. He didn't even make it to the corner yet, sir.
Okay, all right. I wanted to be sure I was understanding your
Yes, sir.
testimony. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Prosecutor may have some questions to ask you. Mr. Prosecutor,
Yes,
do you have
sir.
any questions, sir?
I do, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Smith, from where you were located, did you see the officer?
I see them coming down the street. I did, sir.
You said you did see him coming down the street?
Yes, sir. I did. As I approached the intersection underneath the light, I looked to my left and I seen him coming down the street.
Okay, so he was, and was, what type of traffic would you say was going on at that time?
It was
heavy?
everybody. It was moderate traffic. Everybody was trying to get to work, so it was like everybody was. It was cars galore coming down Old Dixie to get on the highway. It's like that every morning.
So he was not far enough away from you that you did not see him. And you stated previously, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so just correct
Yes,
me if
sir.
I misstate your testimony. You stated previously that you entered the intersection on yellow, and as you were under the light, you saw that it turned red. So
Yes, sir.
your statement to the court is that you did not clear the intersection before the light turned red. Is that correct?
You said I did not clear it?
Correct.
I was underneath it already on the other side. My car was already on the other side of the street.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
All right. Ms. Smith, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Smith, you have entered a not guilty plea to the traffic control device. Your testimony is that it was light traffic early in the morning. At the point that you entered the intersection, the light was yellow. As you were going through the intersection, you were able to look up and saw that the light turned red. And at some point you received a citation. Based on those facts and the testimony of the police officer, I do find you guilty of the violation. The fine amount is $175. Are you able to satisfy that in 2 weeks, or do you need a longer period of time to pay it?
I can do it in 2 weeks. That's fine.
Okay, have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
No, sir, I can do it now.
Let me have you to please go ahead and type your name, your full name, and your email address in the chat. You will receive your plea form, to which you will enter a not guilty plea. You will receive a 2-week agreement, and you will also receive the judgment of the court finding you guilty of this violation.
Yes, sir. Do you see that?
You
Okay.
did. Thank you, Ms. Smith, and you can
Yes, sir.
disengage from the call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Prosecutor, do you want to go to your next matter, sir?
Judge, if we can get Ms. Ida's, I believe, last interpreter case.
And you know what number that is and what page?
That's on page 4, Your Honor, and
Thank you.
it's the last one on page 4. According to Ms. Yolanda, it's Salom Teran Anderson.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
it should, he is listed as LG Stylo 6, but Miss Payton's gone in the lobby to make sure he is logged in properly.
Okay.
Judge Freeman, may Officer Thicklin be excused?
Yes, Officer Thicklin, thank you, sir, and you are excused. Do we know what this gentleman's plea is to this case today?
Not yet, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll wait to get it.
Okay, Your Honor, he is in position.
All right.
Rồi,
Buenos días, señor Salom. ¿Usted necesita intérprete?
sí,
Okay, he does need an interpreter, Your Honor.
Mr. Salam, you've been charged with 2 violations, sir. What is your plea?
Señor Salom, se le acusa de dos incumplimientos, de dos infracciones. ¿Cómo se declara?
no culpable.
Not guilty.
All right. One of them is improperly passing an emergency vehicle, and the other one is the address on his license.
Uno de los cargos es por pasar indebidamente a un servicio de emergencia, a un vehículo de emergencia, y la otra es por no haber cambiado su nombre, su dirección en su licencia de conducir.
Sí, he tenido problemas para enviar en el correo electrónico los documentos. Aquí tengo el cambio de residencia ese mismo día porque no le entendía al oficial.
Okay, I do have the documents that I have been having trouble sending electronically. The same day I did the change of address and I couldn't understand the officer, but I do have documents that I could not send electronically because I have difficulty doing that.
Ask
La
him to change the address after the date of this incident.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what was the question?
Ask him, did he change the address before or after the date of this incident?
¿Usted cambió la dirección antes o después que ocurrió este incidente?
El mismo día la cambié, el mismo día, porque el
¿Antes
oficial,
o después? El juez quiere saber antes o después de lo que pasó.
bueno, digo yo que después, porque fue el mismo día.
I would say after because it was on the same day.
All right. Everyone that's going to testify, if you'll please raise your right hand.
Levante su mano derecha si va a testificar.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth.
Usted jura solemnemente que el testimonio que dará aquí es la verdad, toda la verdad.
So help you God.
Y lo jura por Dios.
If so, say I do.
Si así es, diga que sí lo jura.
Sí, sí lo juro.
Yes, I do.
Prosecutor, if you will go ahead and present the case.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. On August 19th of 2020, Mr. Salam Tehran received a citation for
El 19 de agosto del 2020, el señor Terán recibió una citación
failing to move over for an emergency vehicle
por no cumplir con moverse cuando estaba pasando alrededor de un vehículo de emergencia
and not changing his address within 60 days of him moving.
y no cambiar su dirección en un periodo, dentro de un periodo de 60 días después que se mudó.
Officer Edwards issued both of those citations.
El agente Edwards fue el que le emitió estas dos citaciones.
Officer Edwards, on the date in question,
Agente Edwards, el día que ocurrió esto,
did you have an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Salam Tehran?
¿usted tuvo la oportunidad de comunicarse con el señor Salón Terán?
I did.
Sí, así fue.
Was that contact within the city limits of Forest Park?
Ese contacto lo hizo en los límites de la ciudad de Forest Park.
Yes.
Sí.
Are you a post-certified peace officer with arrest powers?
¿Es usted un agente que está certificado POCT con la autoridad de arrestos?
Did you answer affirmatively?
Yes.
Sí estoy.
Could you briefly state the nature of that contact?
Por favor, ¿puede decirnos la naturaleza de ese contacto que tuvo con el señor Terán?
If it was in reference to the driver in question not moving over to emergency vehicle.
Fue en relación al conductor que estamos aquí hablando, que no se movió, no se movió al pasar al lado de un vehículo de emergencia.
Were you the officer that was conducting the traffic stop?
¿Usted fue la gente que llevó a cabo la parada de tránsito?
No, another officer was.
No, otro agente fue.
But you were on the scene behind him with your lights on, is that correct?
Correct.
Pero usted estaba en lugar de los hechos detrás de él con sus luces prendidas, ¿correcto? Sí.
And after you observed the violation, you immediately got behind Mr. Salam Tehran, is that correct?
Cuando usted observó que se vuelve en cumplimiento la infracción, usted se fue atrás del señor Salam inmediatamente, ¿correcto?
That's correct.
Sí, that's correct. Eso es correcto.
You conducted the traffic stop and explained to Mr. Tehran why you had stopped him?
Usted llevó a cabo la parada de tránsito y le explicó al señor Terán por qué lo paró.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch
Can y'all
that.
repeat that?
Go ahead, Ida.
¿Puede repetir eso?
Yes, so you observed the traffic violation and immediately got behind Mr. Salam Tehran, is that correct?
Usted hizo la parada de tránsito y enseguida usted habló y se puso detrás del señor Terán, ¿correcto?
That's correct.
Sí, eso es correcto.
And when you pulled over Mr. Salam Tehran, did you explain to him why he was being stopped?
Y cuando usted usted paró al señor Terán, usted le explicó a él por qué lo paró.
That's correct. I explained to him.
Eso es correcto, yo le expliqué todo eso.
He did acknowledge the receipt of the citation by signing, is that correct?
Sí reconoció que recibió la citación al firmarla, ¿es eso correcto?
That's correct.
Ya, eso es correcto.
And Officer Edwards, I know this was in 2020, but do you recall any statements that he may have made to you on the side of the road?
Agente Edwards, sé que esto pasó en el 2020, pero ¿recuerda usted algún tipo de declaraciones que le haya dado al lado del camino?
I asked him about what his current address was, and he advised me he'd been there for 5 months.
Le pregunté cuál era su dirección actual y me dijo que había estado en esa dirección por 5 meses.
Nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
No tengo más para este testigo, su señoría.
Please ask Senor Salam if he has any questions for the officer.
Señor Salom, ¿usted tiene preguntas para la gente?
Sí, yo le informé a él que cuando en el stop, cuando estaba en el semáforo, tenían detenido a una persona chequeándola y él estaba en la parte de atrás, pero...
Okay, I informed him, señor Salom, tiene que hacer pausa. I informed him that at the stop, they had stopped checking a person. And continúe.
Entonces, son 2 vías, pero ellos estaban entre el medio del carril.
Okay, there are 2 lanes, and I went between I was in the middle of the lane at the light.
Yo, varios carros pasaron, yo frené igual que los demás carros.
Okay, several cars went by, and I used my brakes like the other cars did to slow down.
Y bueno, como no vi que era una emergencia, pasé porque no me podía tirar hacia el otro carril porque
Since I realized there was an emergency, because I realized there was not an emergency, I passed because I couldn't move to the other lane because there were cars in the other lane.
En ese momento yo, ¿cómo se llama? Estaba afectado por el COVID.
At that time, I was affected by COVID.
Iba a un tratamiento de COVID, iba muy mal.
I was going to get a COVID treatment, and I was feeling pretty bad.
Yo le expliqué al oficial, pero no me entendió. O sea, no hablo el inglés. Cero.
I explained the officer, but I don't think he understood me. I don't speak English.
Y aquí está la prueba donde yo, ¿cómo se llama? Iba a un tratamiento y aquí donde está la prueba positiva.
And that is the proof that I was going to a treatment and there was a positive test.
All right. Does the prosecutor have any questions?
¿El fiscal tiene preguntas? Mr. Mary Rose, I think you're muted.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Tehran, you indicated that you could not get over when you observed the emergency vehicles on the side of the road. Is that correct?
Señor Terán, usted dice que usted no pudo moverse al otro carril cuando usted vio el vehículo de emergencia en la carretera. ¿Es eso correcto?
No, yo vi el vehículo de emergencia y no me pude mover hacia allá porque venían otros carros pasando y el semáforo estaba en verde.
Okay, I saw the emergency vehicle and I could not change lanes because there were other cars passing by that lane and because the light was green.
And were you able to slow down?
¿Y pudo usted rebajar la velocidad? ¿Pudo ir de más despacio?
Correctamente.
Correctamente,
el límite era 45, la luz estaba en verde, la rebajé casi a 10, a 20.
Okay, yes. The light was green, the speed limit was 45, and I reduced it to 10, 20, or even less.
Okay, no further questions, Judge.
Okay, no tengo más preguntas.
All right. Ask the Senior Salam, is there anything else he'd like to say?
¿Algo más que usted quiera decir, señor Terán?
Bueno, que tomé una decisión porque he perdido demasiado tiempo porque cada cita que he tenido 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 citas y de verdad pierdo el día de trabajo y ahorita en estos momentos tuve que perder el día de trabajo porque tuve dificultad en la aplicación para comunicarme con ustedes.
Okay, so I would like you to make a determination because I have been here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and I've been missing work. And right now, I also had to miss work, and I had difficulties trying to connect to get to be here for this hearing.
Please let Senior Salam know that the virtual court is set up as a convenience for him.
Señor Salom, nosotros tenemos estas audiencias virtuales para conveniencia de usted y de las personas que...
And that at all of those opportunities, he could have come to in-person court, but that certainly would have taken him away from work. So I hope that he views this process as a privilege to him.
Y todas estas veces que usted mencionó que tenía que venir, que tenía que asistir a una audiencia, usted ha podido venir en persona, que le hubiese tardado más tiempo, y espero que usted aprecie las ventajas y esta cordialidad que se le está haciendo de tener las audiencias virtuales, porque llevan menos tiempo que una audiencia en persona.
Ok, entiendo.
I understand.
Ask him, does he have anything else he'd like to say?
¿Tiene algo más que decir?
No, eso no.
Let him know that he has entered a not guilty plea to both charges.
Usted se declaró no culpable a los dos cargos.
Sí.
Let him know on the address charge, the court finds him guilty, but there will be no fine imposed.
En el caso de no cambiar la dirección, determinamos que usted es culpable, pero no le vamos a imponer una multa.
On the improper passing of an emergency vehicle, the court finds him guilty of that as well.
Y también en el caso de no pararse o de no moverse cuando pasó un vehículo de emergencia, también fallo de que lo encuentro culpable.
Let him know the fine for that has been reduced to $250.
$250, Your Honor.
That is correct.
Okay. La multa se la vamos a rebajar y son de $250 por el cargo de no moverse de carril cuando hubo pasando un vehículo de emergencia.
Okay. Tell him, can that be paid in the next 2 weeks?
¿Usted puede pagar esta multa a más tardar en 2 semanas?
Sí, lo voy a pagar ahorita mismo.
Yes,
sí,
I'm going to pay it right now.
Is he there at the courthouse?
¿Está usted aquí, está ahí en el tribunal?
Sí, correctamente, de temprano.
Yes, ever since this morning, early this morning, I've been here.
Okay, then they will process his payment today.
Entonces van a procesar su pago ahorita cuando se vaya a la ventanilla para que pague.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gracias, ya se puede retirar de la llamada.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
Can I ask for a continuation on the calls on right now? And there's some pressing calls that just came out.
I'm sorry, officer. You were breaking up a little bit, sir. What did you say?
I was asking, can I get a continuous high priority call for that?
All right, we will deal with those. Okay, thank you. I'll communicate that to the prosecutor. All right, thank you.
Your Honor, may I be excused?
And thank you, Ms. Ida, for the interpreting services today.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
All right, take care. All right, Mr. Prosecutor.
Judge, am I to understand that Officer Edwards had to get off because he had a high priority call?
He does. So I don't know how many more cases he has. If you want to try to resolve some of those, if not, we will need to continue or address these at 1 o'clock.
So here's the issue, Judge. All of the cases that are left are his cases.
Well, let me generally speak to everyone and let them know what is going on. They're all in the queue. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Well, with the exception of whoever's in the lobby. Who do we have in the lobby?
All right.
His case has been handled.
for this is Judge Freeman going on with Officer Edwards, who has all of the remaining cases on the calendar. He has been called away on an emergency call as it relates to his line of duty. I know this may be an inconvenience to some of you all, but this is what police officers have to do. It is a legally excusable, so I can do one of two things. I can continue your case until 1 o'clock today, or I can put it on for a new date, or I can bind your case over to Clayton County. And so I'm going to go down the calendar and you can let me know what you'd like to do. If you'd like to work out a resolution with the prosecutor that would result in some type of plea, you will have an opportunity to do that. If not, we will be continuing or transferring these cases. So the next one is Tali Brown. Tali Brown. That is an FTA. The next one is Makita Combs. Makita Combs.
And Judge, that matter is looks like
Hello?
Judge, that matter is
Brown. Let me go back to Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown, turn your video on, please, young lady.
Okay, 1 second.
Everyone who is in the queue, turn your video on, please. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Your officer has been called away on an emergency call. So you have a couple of options. First of all, let me apologize on behalf of the court, but I do have to recognize these emergency calls when officers are called out on them. I can reset this matter till 1 o'clock today. I can reset it for another day, or I can bind it over to Clayton County. What is your preference?
Honestly, so I'm taking it back. So you're saying the officer is not available, so we can't go forward?
We cannot have a trial right now. We can conduct the trial at 1 o'clock because you're entering a not guilty plea to this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we can either go forward with your trial today at 1, or I can reset your court date, or I can bind your case over to Clayton County. What is your preference?
1 o'clock today.
All right, you can get back on the call at 1 o'clock.
Okay, on the same setup right here.
Will it be the same Zoom? Is it the same Zoom?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is, Your Honor.
All right, we will see you back at 1 o'clock, young lady.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Makita Combs?
Judge,
Yes.
make the announcement on Ms. Combs. That was an accident case. We don't need the officer to proceed on that one. There's 3 charges, and we do have, I believe, the witness on here.
Okay, well, we can go ahead and try Ms. Combs' case, unless she is changing her plea. Ms. Combs, what is your plea?
Not guilty.
All right, Ms. Combs, one of these is a license suspension charge, which is driving on suspended license. Have you been to the Department of Driving Services and have they told you your license was not suspended?
Yes.
Well, you do understand that's one of the charges. So you're entering a not guilty plea to that charge, ma'am?
Yes, well, you can make them all guilty. My biggest concern was at the time of the first court date. I said you can make them all guilty. I said my biggest concern was the time at the first court date. I would have to be on probation. So that's why I was trying to seek outside counsel to see if there was a way around the probation.
Not unless, no.
So that's why I did the not.
The driving on suspended license is a suspendable, is going to be where you're going to have to go on probation to be given time to pay the fine. And 2 months of your probation will be mandatory. You understand that?
Okay, what's the like stipulations of the probation? Like, do I have to do community service or something?
First of all, let me ask you this, Ms. Combs. What is your plea to the charges?
Guilty.
All right, let's see if she's eligible for a no-law plea.
She is.
All right, Miss, you may want to consider a no-law plea because that'll keep your license from going back into suspension. Do you understand that?
What's the no-law?
The no-law plea will keep your license from being suspended because of this adjudication. So have you gone to get a new license since this happened?
Yes.
All right, if you enter a guilty plea, that's going to suspend your current license whereas the no-load plea will not suspend your current license. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You will still have to pay the fine. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And you will pay this fine while being on probation. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Your total fines are $1,635. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You will be placed on probation for 12 months to pay the fine. 2 months of your probation is mandatory. Do you understand that?
My video cut out. You said I will be placed on when?
You will be placed on probation for 12 months. 2 months of your probation is mandatory. Do you understand that?
Yes.
While on probation, you will pay the sum of $1,435.57. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that by entering into the no-load plea, you're doing this without the assistance of a lawyer?
Yes.
Do you also understand that by entering into the plea that you are waiving your right to a trial?
Yes.
Are you entering into the plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And do you believe it is in your best interest to enter into this plea?
Yes.
The court will accept your no-load plea. You will be placed on probation for 12 months. 2 months of your probation is mandatory. And let me have you to type your email address and your full name in the chat.
I have your email address. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Young lady, you can disengage from the call. You will receive your plea form and your probation information through your email. Do you understand that?
Yes. And
you can disengage. Thank you.
well, that was all my charges, just driving without suspended
All
license.
3 of your charges: following too closely, driving on suspended license, and an FTA. That's all 3 of your charges.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Let me go to the next person. Is Tiara Davis?
Judge Freeman,
Yes.
may the witness be excused.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you,
Mr.
Ms.
Walker, you may be excused.
Ms. Tiara Davis?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Davis, your officer has been called away on an emergency call. Do you want me to continue this case, or do you want me to bind this case over to Clayton County?
You can continue this case. I like to try to get it resolved as soon
When
as
you say
possible.
get it resolved, what is your plea to the 2 charges?
The vehicle was beat up and then it was actually stolen. I don't remember the charges, so please remind me of the charges so I can make a plea, Judge. And honestly,
the charge is a stop sign violation and failure to have your license on your person.
I want to plead not guilty.
All right, then we will set you down. Then we will set you down on another trial calendar. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Is there any way that I may have to finish this today at this afternoon?
I don't know that we're going to be able to do all these cases today, so I'm going to just put you down on a different trial calendar. Okay,
yes,
so your matter will be continued to another trial calendar in Forest Park.
Yes, sir. Do you know when I'll get the date? I do not want to miss court, Judge.
Well, have you typed your name and email address in the chat like we've asked everyone to?
I have not yet, sir.
Then will you please do that? We've asked everyone to do that. If you will please do that. Type your full name and your email address in the chat. And you will receive your new court date later this afternoon, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, Judge.
All right. Have you typed it in there yet?
Just a moment.
Everyone, please type your full name and your email address in the chat.
Who do I address it to, Judge?
FPMC. FPMC.
I have it. Thank you, Ms. Patrick. I'm sorry, Ms. Davis.
All right, you can disengage. Thank you.
You have my email address already?
Yes, we thought you, well, do you have it, Ms. Yates? Do you have
I'm sorry,
her?
my mistake. I do not have her email address.
All right, Ms. Davis, if you'll please type yours in, or if you can tell us what it is.
I typed it in, Judge. Can you let me know that you received it?
I have it now. Thank you.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
have it now.
Judge Freeman, you're on mute.
I was trying to get my dog to calm down.
I apologize.
It's okay. No. This is on me. Omar Inse. Omar Inse. That's an FTA. Carissa Mack.
He's here, Your Honor.
I see someone listed as Anil Inse.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Ma'am, you've entered a not guilty plea to the charges. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. We will need to continue this case for another day, or would you prefer that the matter be bound over to Clayton County?
Continues to another day.
Have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
Yes.
All right. Can we confirm that, Ms. Yates?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's there. Also, Your
Okay.
Honor, we do have one of the witnesses to that case on the line.
Yeah, but your name.
Okay. If we have the witness on the line, then let's reschedule this one for 1 o'clock.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's make sure that the witness can come back on at 1 o'clock. Let's
Ms.
reschedule
Carter?
that for 1 o'clock.
Ms. Carter, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You need me to come back at 1?
Yes, ma'am.
You need me to
Mr.
come back
Carter?
at 1?
Yes, please.
Okay, no problem. I'll come back at 1.
Ms. Green, can you all go through the rest of the calendar, and I'm going to zoom back in about 15 minutes, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, I'll come back at 1.
All right.
Thank you. Uh-huh. I'm leaving,
Edna.
okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Mhm.
Edna Patrick. Ma'am, what is your plea?
Miss Patrick,
Ma'am,
we
you're
can't
on.
hear you.
Not guilty, ma'am. Not guilty.
Okay. Would you like this matter to be bound over to state court, Clinton County State Court, or would you like it to remain in Forest Park?
Ma'am, this has gone on almost 2 years now, so you can bound it over because I have a CDL and I'm not going to take that charge. So you can bound it over.
Okay. Well, we have your email address. We'll email you your documentation.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is that all that I need?
Yes, ma'am, that's all.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Keith White. Keith White.
FTA?
Omar Enes. Mr. Enes, we need you to unmute your phone.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Mr. Anise, are you able to understand English?
Yes, I'm saying, yeah.
Okay. So in reference to your matter, do you want us to reset that, or do you want to be bound over to the state court of Clayton County?
I'm living in Cobb County. You know, what is the too far? You can't go like a Cobb County?
No, because it's got to be in the jurisdiction of Clayton County. So we can keep it here in Forest Park, or we can send it over to the Clayton County State Court.
Okay, you know which days you guys?
No, they're going to send you a notice as to what. Oh, you're asking what day we would reset it for?
Yeah.
I have no clue. We will send you an email for that, but more than likely it'll be another Zoom hearing.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so we're going to reset him for. Did you put your email in the chat, Mr. Enos?
Yes.
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 Okay.
We have it.
All right, so you can go ahead and log off. Just look out for the email with your new court date on, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. But
Solicitor, we have Miss Wynn. She's a red speed. She's the only red speed for today. And this LG Stylo, still not sure who that is because the other gentleman is already gone.
So that person actually that camera never came on, correct?
That's correct.
Well, we can go ahead and
Well, he's on now. I need for your camera to be on, sir or ma'am. LG Stylo 6.
I am ready whenever you all are. Thank you.
The only matter that we have, Judge, would be the red speed matter because we do not need the officer for that one. There is only one. We were trying to get the LG, and there we go. LG Stilo. What is your name, sir?
Winston Carter. I'm a witness.
Okay, Mr. Carter, you were a witness on what case?
Yes, I was a witness with Miss Carter in the same case.
Oh,
It was a witness on the Carissa Mack matter.
That's correct.
That one we reset for 1 o'clock. Was that correct?
Okay. I'll be back at 1.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
All right, what do we have left?
Just the red speed, Judge.
Okay.
Unless there's somebody in the lobby. Nobody in the lobby, correct?
That's correct. We're done with the lobby people.
Okay. So we have one red speed.
Yeah, she has 2 violations, but just one person.
Thank you. I'm ready.
I don't have any red speed, do I?
I'm trying to share the screen.
Thank you. This is Kamiki Wins.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, Ms. Wins?
I'm okay.
All right. Are you familiar with this process?
Not quite.
Okay, let me tell you what it is. So this is a little process in which they have cameras located around various municipalities, and these cameras will film a vehicle that it believes has committed certain infractions. The infractions are civil infractions, which means they do not go on your driving record. Do you understand that?
Oh, okay.
And if you read through all the paperwork, it tells you all of that. So
Okay.
the question that I have is, first, let me have you to raise your right hand. You swear or affirm all the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. If so,
Yes.
say I do.
I do.
Okay, so you have received these 2 infractions, and let me look at the date. Let me let them pull those back up. The infraction dates are April the 22nd of 2022 and May the 18th of 2022. Is that your vehicle?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. Were you driving the vehicle on those days?
No, sir.
Who was driving the vehicle?
A friend of mine named T.
Okay, well, I need for you to get T on the line. Does T have a full name?
I just know Travaris. Now, one of those days, I probably was driving. The May date, because he didn't. I don't think he drove it in May.
So let me I want to be sure I'm understanding. You kind of need to get that person. If you're saying someone else was driving the car, we need to have that person available for that. Do you understand that?
Yeah, he's
And
not
I'm
gonna show up.
assuming that if you're letting them drive your car, you know who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Is that
but
correct?
yes, sir. But
Okay.
he's not gonna come to video court. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that for a fact. So
Well, these are civil violations. The fines are $75 a piece.
okay.
So from what I'm understanding, the car belongs to you. You were driving it on one day. On the other day, you believe somebody by the name of T was driving it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The fines are $75 a piece. If you will read through the paperwork, it tells you where to make the payment. But based on the information I've received, I do find you guilty of these violations. It's just that they go on your driving record. Do you understand that?
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me?
When would these fines have to be paid?
They need to be paid. If you will read through the paperwork, it tells you, but they need to be paid. The one in April should have been paid a while ago. So I would tell you to try to get these paid within the next 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Are you able to give me an extension on these?
See, I can't because this is not something that we monitor through court services. There's an email address on there. And
Okay.
so they will take their action as they see fit, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just ask you something. It may be helpful if you read through this because it's real helpful. And I think it'll kind of answer a lot of the questions that you might have.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Do you have any other questions?
No, sir.
You take care of yourself, okay?
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You can disengage from the call, young lady. All right. All right.